all. It is Bite-Size Thursday here at Slate Media, and we are continuing on our Avatar watch through. That's right, we are on Season 3, Episode 8, The Puppet Maker. And...
The Puppeteer, according to you last week.
The
Puppet
Maker. I said the Puppet
Master!
Oh, I thought he was kidding. Let's point and laugh at him.
puppet in there. That's all that matters. Is the puppet dude that's in this.
It's a puppet dude.
But I thought it was a lady.
It is.
It's been a minute since I've seen this episode.
That's the old lady that used to
It's been a
know
minute
their
since
mom,
you heard the
or
name,
their
too.
grandma, or was it their mom or their grandma?
What happened to this?
Their mom's dead.
Yeah, it was.
Even I knew that.
No, it's not their mom. It's a lady that used to know someone that's related to them.
Grand, maybe?
I don't know. I don't remember. I feel like the age matches up for that.
All I know is this episode, I don't know if it quite gave me nightmares when I first saw it as a kid, but it certainly was unsettling. Ooh. And it's the way they animate the blood bending, because this is the blood bending
This
episode.
is the blood bending
I think
episode?
it is, isn't it? The Puppetmaster, right? Because she can...
Did we not understand that?
No.
Well, some of us don't even know the name of the frickin' episode.
I'm very tired.
The Puppet Maker!
I am very tired. I am running on like 5 hours of sleep. No, like 6 hours.
He had to get up to watch the Lions.
I did have to wake up to watch the Lions.
Did they win?
We did!
Yeah.
Woo!
Anyway.
But yes, no, yeah.
All I remember is they meet old lady. She knows them or family somehow and teaches Katara bloodbending. It's only a full moon, right?
Yes.
Apparently.
I remember that.
Yeah, because it's the full moon, because that's when waterbenders are at their strongest.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and Katara doesn't like it and uses it against her, and then vows never to use it again, but we know that's a lie.
It comes back.
I mean, it wasn't a lie, but...
It's still such a terrifying idea.
Yeah, and it's in Korra quite a bit.
Would you call this filler? No, I think it's important.
It is pretty important. It's kind of like... It doesn't push the big overarching story of the thing, but it's
it's a smoking gun that comes back later.
Yep, it sets up an important detail. So it's like, again, it's like last week's episode feels more like it because it doesn't really give anyone something like that, like an ability or object. I mean, you could say the sweat bending, but that's the only time I know they use it.
I really don't think that they...
So it's one of those things where it's like last week would be much more filler than this, and this is one of those episodes a lot of people really like, and I remember liking it too. It's been a hot second.
You said it's the blood, but I'm like, oh, I remember.
That's all you have to say.
I just remember that it's the one that they always used to show on Halloween.
Why?
It's
creepy, I don't know.
Man.
In fact, I wonder when it originally aired.
Actually, that's a good point. It might have actually.
I should have pulled that up.
To...
We'll pull that up during the break.
Well, either way, it's fun that that's when they usually do it. But anyway, let's jump right into this. Let's
take a bite.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was one spooky show. Wowza.
Blood-curdling.
Honestly, this is one of those episodes, and I know there's a couple other ones in the show that make me really think they thought this was a good idea for kids. Not gonna lie, that's a little bit of a...
It might have a little bit of a Harry Potter thing going on, though, where by the time it gets to this point, it's kind of grown up with its...
Yeah, that's fair. I can see that argument.
I know it's only 3 or so years, but 4.
Somewhere in 05 to somewhere about middle of 08.
Yeah, I think it has that sort of tone to it. Mm-hmm. The third book, rightfully so, has the most serious of all the tones.
Yeah. This really does feel like it's like Harry Potter's. It's a good thing.
We've talked about it before. The seasons as they progress feel less and less Nickelodeon-y. Yeah,
because I mean they at least had like the, as I would call it, the Nickelodeon-y part of it was them telling like scary stories in the beginning. Like this will have a little bit of that, but then you go into straight up controlling somebody's body, which is kind of terrifying to think about.
I don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's all I had.
For me, like I said, they always showed this around Halloween when it was super popular. for me, it was always the terrifying thing was always I hear people under the mountain.
Yeah, that's kind of
Like
creepy.
just like
Screaming,
for some
screaming
reason
under the mountain.
For some reason I could handle the blood bending. I could handle the puppets or whatever they found in that first cabinet.
And her face going, ugh.
Dude,
Yeah.
the close up on her face. Like,
But I could never handle the idea of people screaming under the mountain.
that's so weird. That's what got you out of
Yeah,
everything.
I'm a weird person, man. I'll admit it.
Yeah, you mentioned her close up on like her face. Like, is it just me or did that kind of look like Willem Dafoe?
Boy, that's who should play her in the show.
Oh my god! Yes.
You're the last bloodbender.
I'm somewhat of a bloodbender, Spider-Man.
I'm something of a bloodbender myself. Or waterbender myself.
Like I just like all like the wrinkles and like the defining features of a face. I always think of his face for some reason, just because we're the same vibe.
Yeah. Couple things tied into the rest of the show. We see how that ship got frozen down
Yes,
in
we
the South Pole. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that works with the timeline. It brings back that discussion I brought up way back where it's like, man, the Southern Water Tribe is tiny.
Yeah.
And that's why I brought up the thing of like, are there like other little villages or is that the only one? Because that's really, really small.
Which is kind of funny for it being the Southern tribe that's on Antarctica, like one of the biggest continents.
It's not Antarctica. It's not Earth. This is its own world.
I guess that's true. I know it's loosely based.
But the Northern Water Tribe is huge. It's like,
Yeah.
why are the Southern so tiny? Unless there are other villages, little tribe villages.
If they are, I bet they're separated by grass.
But there's no grass there. How do they know what grass is?
She knew
It's
how to
all
take water out of it.
Well, yeah, because now she knows what grass is.
You might have just said this.
Actually, she didn't take. She took water out of it when she was told. There we go. She didn't know there was water in it, or didn't think about it because she's not used to grass.
She didn't know about plants. Yeah, it makes sense.
Well, she knew about like plants that grow in the sea,
Right.
and that's it.
Right, but not like ground
You know what
plants.
doesn't? You know what doesn't grow in the sea? Grass.
For anybody that is lost, this is a reference to a very old episode that Jared.
Episode. I've said it like 10
said
times
it like
throughout
that.
this. How do they know what
Nearly
grass
every
is?
time they touch grass.
Like they're on ice, and under the ice is probably like soil of some sort. You'd think. So it's like they know what that is, but nothing.
They gotta have
grow
some
there.
kind of agricultural thing going on.
I'm sure.
Well, if they're supposed to be based off of like Inuit tribes, they get a lot of their source of stuff from like hunting like seals or whale or like
Seals and
blubber.
Yeah.
Blubber, and then they have underwater vegetation.
Mm.
But like nothing, they don't like grow anything. You'd think.
I mean,
So and they fish too. Like that's why I'm asking, how do they know what grass is?
And she figured out how to pull out plants water pretty quickly there when
Yeah.
at the end.
That was one thing I was thinking about though with the bloodbending. She remember she isn't shown. She just, and I know she's super powerful.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of just does it really quick.
I was thinking that
Yeah.
they kind of set Katara up to be the most powerful waterbender apart from Aang in this world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Still though, it's like I would understand if she was taught it and then got it down.
Mm-hmm.
And I get there's time restraints.
I mean, yeah, it was
But
literally.
it
There's
was
also
like
just,
she
you can
wasn't even
jump
told.
to. It was instinct for her.
Yeah, I know.
Because
It was
if
like,
she
that's
taught
fast.
her how to feel the water in the grass, it's not that far of a leap to be able to feel the water in someone,
Yeah.
which is technically not even really blood, I guess.
It was just. I do know that it was at least for me, came across kind of like a weird beat, like a weird moment where she's like, I'm trying to remember, like in that final showdown, like right before Katara's like, no, but I like with my power, and then just like that beat between the two just felt a little bit awkward to me when she realized, oh wait, no, I'm still a strong bender. I'm like, but she can literally bend your like it didn't.
I think the idea was that she couldn't hold any power over because Katara was strong enough to break it. Like she was like bending herself out of the bending technique.
Okay.
Is what I took from
Oh,
it.
that's what I was trying to figure out.
And then there's the adrenaline rush of trying to save Sokka and Aang from death that probably made it click in her head.
Yeah, once Aang was involved.
I can see. I know it's up for debate for some people if this is considered anime, but I will say if this was an anime, it'd be a full episode of her like inner thoughts and flashbacks and all this like backstory and this build up. Basically, what is a 10-second moment of her realizing how to bloodbend and that she's going to do it, like this inner turmoil, it'd be stretched out into 25 minutes of what do I do? And it cuts back to Katara, remember this, and then to another time, and then finally the slow motion. Then at the end of the episode, it's just goo, and within 30 seconds,
what you're describing is giving me anxiety.
Is that not what like an
No,
anime
that is
would do?
the trope. That's why it's giving me anxiety.
So I was thinking, like, you can tell this is an American show because it doesn't focus on the super slow, finer details of the moment. It happens, and it doesn't mean it can't do. It doesn't do that at times, but we're very much story focused in the moment to progress. Whereas, like when you watch anime, which you've watched exponentially more than me, they tend to draw out moments. Full episodes will be one moment.
That's how they keep from having to do a lot of filler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
They also flashback like that in the mangas, but
and which is why, like we've mentioned Demon Slayer before, there's what would you say 90% of an arc is one fight.
Yeah.
It's just one fight, and not that there's a
about
ton of slow motion.
But unless you're talking Entertainment District.
Yeah. Because there's a couple setup episodes, and then it's like the fight starts, and it's like 8 or 9 episodes, 20-some minutes each of just fight.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So
big
here's
fight,
a question:
but they cut back and forth.
Do you count the fight between like the wives, and then the fight between the wives and the demon, and then the Flash and the demon, and then Tanjiro and the demon?
It's kind of sex of a bigger fight, like little pieces of it, because we are cutting back and forth.
Yeah, because then you have Zenitsu and Inosuke fighting her, cutting her neck, and then you have the cut to where the wives are actually being held, and like it's paced well so that you're not like literally sitting in the fight for 11 episodes, but you kind of also are.
Yeah, and that's what you're saying about that moment. It's like, man, there's just a difference between them. In this one, it's you're given X amount of episodes, you have this amount of time, it's showing on TV in the U.S., so it has to adhere to these limitations. Mm-hmm. Whereas Japan, like a lot of the world, the commercials are set up different, and times can be a little more lenient for some. I don't know how it works completely.
I think they have to have... Okay, I don't know. I'm going to preface that with this. I don't think they require as many ads, because if you watch like an anime that's been recorded off a channel in Japan, there is a section between the opening and the start of an episode that is like a grayed out couple of frames or a couple second shot of part of the anime where the opening plays in the background, and there's all these different logos, and I think they say this is brought to you by yada 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 yada.
And then there's also
one break,
and the break usually has like a card it cuts to, and then it cuts back to.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then there's an end break too, I believe.
Yeah, I think there's 3 breaks.
I don't
total,
know,
which I think is the same
with
as
the amount of anime on streaming services now. My barometer for where ads go is all messed up.
Yeah, the Puppetmaster though.
Yeah,
just it's the sound too. It's the squishing sound that's like. Ugh.
Well, when the one shot that I'm thinking of is when she like her arm was down and they were like, and you could see all the veins in there squishing, and it's just like, it was nasty and awesome.
One thing I never understood about it is they talk about how all these prisons where the Fire Nation kept them, and they kept them in such derelict. If the Fire Nation was going to do that, and obviously story, why not just kill them? Like
I don't know.
If you're going to demoralize them to that point, why waste money in space? As horrible as that sounds.
You raise a fair point. We should bring this up to Firelord Ozai and see what he has to say.
I mean, obviously, it's just for story, but...
Yeah. But I do like that, and I'm not, like, saying she's a sympathetic villain, but, like, you still feel for her, like...
Oh, her motivations make sense.
Absolutely, and I like that we get a little bit of that, too.
And she's taking it out on people that had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, that's the other,
Yeah, it's
a good, dark episode.
It's really good. Yeah, all the more, like, the funnier stuff's in the first chunk, and then the back half of it is where all the serious stuff is.
And they leave it on such a down note. Like, she won. She taught her how to...
Did she win?
Yeah.
No,
she kind of did exactly what the villain wanted her to do, and that she said she wouldn't do.
She did what she said she would not do.
And she did it in order to save, but it's not like she won the fight, but won the battle, lost the war.
I was referring to Hama.
I thought there was a whole, like... Sorry, go ahead.
The villain won is what I was saying.
Yeah.
Oh.
Katara. The villain.
I thought there was a whole, like, subplot about how she knew their grandma or something.
Yeah. Which,
they were, like,
when we
best
say,
friends
there's
or
a shot
something.
where when she's getting taken away, we see someone in front who it looks like has the necklace.
Well, it just looks like Katara.
Yeah, which it could be anyone's necklace, but I feel like that's a detail they'd put in there. And 60 years, the timing works.
I bet you're exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right.
Good episode.
Anything else? All right. Thank you, guys.
I have several things I want to say about animes now, but...
We'll save that for a different month. Maybe. But as for today's episode, thank you for checking out. If you'd like to know where you can follow us when you're not listening to us, Jared, where are we?
You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and the funny TikTok and X. And you can listen to us at Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. And hey, if it's YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, ring our bell. Make sure you check us and rate us and comment on all those apps. And then check out our groovy website.
Absolutely. So yes, if you like today's episode, next week we are doing Season 3, Episode 9, which, Jared, is titled...
Dream Drop Distance.
Dream Drop Distance.
Nightmares and Daydreams.
I don't remember this at all. I'm looking forward to it. I hope everyone else is looking forward to this. So until next week, every time you want to check us out, make sure to...
Take a bite.